The Dodgers begin their quest for a world title, and yet to hear the local press talk about it, they're at death's door. The more I read about the Chargers and the Rams, the less there is to like. And UCLA may be 6-0, but the crown jewel of their recruiting class is just bolted. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is faithful Angelenos. It is October 12, 2022. We added multiple subscribers yesterday. I always thank the new subscribers because I am grateful for the new subscribers. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. If you like the content we put out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. For I am not perfect. The outtakes of this clip would not be funny, but it would show you how many mistakes I make. Now, before we go through the news and notes from around LA sports, we take a quick look at the scoreboard. The Dodgers, they opened up the National League Defensive Divisional Series with a 5-3 victory over the San Diego Padres. Trey Turner homered. He and Will Smith both scored twice. And yet, if you read the LA Times, if you read ESPN.com, CBSSports.com, The Athletic, everything down to your local rag, it made it sound as if the Dodgers barely won. And they didn't. They didn't barely win. That was their 10th win in a row against the Padres. Just because it wasn't by 9 runs doesn't mean it was a nail biter, for Pete's sakes. The thing I want to get to, we will talk more about the Dodgers in just a moment, but I really want to address this because it matters. I learned this as a teenage sports writer working out in San Bernardino when the Lakers were in the Showtime era. Any loss in the playoffs by the Showtime era Lakers was treated as if it were high drama. Oh my God, what does this mean? We begin to do deep dives into something. No, you don't. Because now you're trying to hype drama after a Dodgers win. The Dodgers never trailed. The Dodgers ran out to a 5-0 lead and put it in cruise control. Don't let your heart be troubled by sports writers looking to trouble you. When the Dodgers are in a fix, I'll let you know. That's not the case right now. Meanwhile, over at Crypto.com arena, Gabriel Velarde, he had a goal, he had an assist. Jonathan Quick had 47 saves. But Mark Stone scored in the last minute to lift Vegas to a 4-3 victory over the Kings. Do you want to know the keys to the game? Real simple. Jonathan Quick had to make 47 saves, which means he faced 51 shots. The Kings need to drop that. Straight and simple. Easy problem for them to solve. Meanwhile, today in Game 2 of the Divisional Series, San Diego is taking on the Dodgers at 5:30. That's Clayton Kershaw versus Yu Darvish. Now, the Dodgers, they finalized their playoff roster for the Divisional Series. The big name, Craig Kimbrell, left off the roster entirely. He has 394 career saves. He was the Dodgers closer. He simply did not do the job. And if you're Craig Kimbrell, you should feel insulted, but you also need to face reality. The reason you should feel insulted is you should see the players who did make the postseason roster. Blake Treinen made the postseason roster. Blake Treinen's only pitched 5 times this year. That was how shaky Craig Kimbrell was. Blake Treinen made the roster. Dustin May made the roster. He had Tommy John surgery. His elbow is completely rebuilt. And when he came back, he too was shaky. Just not nearly as shaky as Craig Kimbrell. He needs to look in a mirror, frankly. Other pitchers who did not make the postseason roster, Cy Young Award winner David Price and Caleb Ferguson did not make the postseason roster. Now, Chris Taylor did, and there was speculation that he was immediately going to start. That wasn't the case. Trace Thompson got the start last night out in left field. So we'll see what happens in Game 2. Hey, Charger fans, let's be real with each other. What do you think about the defense? I'm not talking about all the incredible moves that the Chargers made during the offseason to where the Chargers looked like they had an impenetrable defense on paper. I'm talking about real life right now. Because there are some issues, and I think I have a potential solution, not that anybody's going to listen. But the only time this defense was dominant against anybody was the Raiders in the season opener. They allowed 38 points to Jacksonville. They allowed 28 to Cleveland on Sunday, 27 to Kansas City. They've allowed the third most points out of all NFL teams. And remember, there was the idea of signing Sebastian Joseph Day to repair the run defense. And yet the Chargers allowed 215 yards to the Browns on Sunday. So it got me to thinking. Brandon Staley was the defensive genius when he was with the Rams, right? Now, if you recall, when Sean McVay was first hired by the Rams, he was an offensive guru. He hired Wade Phillips to be his defensive coordinator. And during that first season with the Rams, what Sean McVay would do is whenever the offense was off the field, he would make a point to physically retreat from the sidelines, go back to the bench, and start diagramming plays with Jared Goff. Is it possible that Brandon Staley should do the same, but in reverse? Whenever the offense is on the field, he takes his pad and paper, he goes back to the bench, he goes back with Khalil Mack, he goes back with Derwin James, he goes back with Sebastian Joseph Day, Kyle Van Noy, and says, okay, guys, what do? We got this, and this. What do you guys think? Why do I believe this would work? Well, two reasons. One, better communication on the field between the defensive players, because they would have a new idea of what to do to try and stop the run. But even more importantly, it would take all offensive decisions out of Brandon Staley's hands. Brandon Staley is micromanaging. Brandon Staley is going way too hard with the analytics. Brandon Staley is making ridiculous calls on fourth down. Take that completely out of his hands. Let him focus on the defense. Let him be the one to improve the defense, because that is what made his pedigree in the first place, knowing what to do on defense. Is it possible he's in over his head as a head coach? I believe so. You take that out of the equation, he could still be the head coach, but he runs everything on D. Let me know what you think about that in the comments thread. Also, regarding the Chargers, Keenan Allen is said to be day-to-day. Whatever that means for Sunday, your guess is as good as mine. He's missed the last 4 games. Good news and bad news for UCLA. The good news is that they conducted a straw poll this week for The Athletic. Who would you vote for Heisman Trophy right now? Dorian Thompson-Robinson is number 3. Very impressive, I must say. And if you look at some of the numbers, you could absolutely see why he would make a name for himself. He has completed 74.8% of his passes. That is number 2 in the nation. He's passed for 19 touchdowns, number 5 in the nation. He is at number 3rd ranked. He is ahead of USC's Caleb Williams. But I will say this, Ohio State's C.J. Stroud is ahead of everybody. He's the considerable Heisman favorite. But if you're UCLA, that's not a bad feather to have in your cap, wouldn't you say? On the other hand, a feather has been removed from the Bruins chapeau. The crown jewel of the 2023 recruiting class, running back Roderick Robinson of Lincoln High School of San Diego. He's the number 15 rated running back in the country. And he is like, nah, I'm going to Georgia. Now, the hillbilly, mouth-breathing, moonshine-swilling Southern sports writers are trying to use this as a way to troll UCLA. Oh, it's because he went to Pasadena and saw nobody in the stands, so he wanted to go to a real fan base. I'm here to tell you, I've never met Robinson. That's not the case. You don't have to troll to know why he went to Georgia. Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift, Xavier White, James Cook, all went to Georgia, all are in the NFL, and that's recent. It sucks for UCLA, but if you really want to know the real reason why you just lost a recruit to Georgia. That's it. 6 different games and 6 different offensive line coordinations, offensive linemen for your defending Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. Guard David Edwards, he tried to make a go of it on Sunday. He left in the 4th quarter, said his brain was foggy. He is back in the concussion protocol, but even worse, he was placed on injured reserve, which means he's out a minimum of 4 games. This means that they have to find yet another combination in the offensive line to try to make something happen with the offense. Now, there are going to be upgrades. The Rams might be starting to get a little healthier. Guard Brian Allen, he missed 3 games due to knee surgery. He is listed as probable for Sunday against Carolina. In addition to that, defensive backs Kobe Durant, David Long Jr., Taylor Rapp, also all probable. So there is a possibility that the Rams are getting healthier. Now, I have to be real, during the offseason, I praised the Rams for keeping most of their core together as much as possible. But we have to ask ourselves, did they really do that? For example, they haven't found a suitable replacement in the aggregate or in one person to replace Von Miller, and their pass rush has suffered as a result. You could also take a look back at the offensive line. They thought they had a suitable replacement for Andrew Whitworth with Joe Noteboom, and that's not true. Joe Noteboom has allowed 22 quarterback pressures. That is more than anybody else in the National Football League. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves. Allen Robinson is clearly not Odell Beckham Jr. Truth hurts, but it is what it is. Also, the little man who ran onto the field with his little pink smoky dildo against the in the 49ers game claims that Bobby Wagner gave him a concussion when he basically helped out security and tackled him. I don't care what your protest is, dude. I cannot take you or your cause or your police report seriously when you're running around carrying a giant flaming Marilade on a football field. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Maybe you deserve a concussion. I hate to say it, maybe you deserve a concussion. Maybe your brain will heal and you'll realize that you're not supposed to run around with a smoking dildo on a football field, whatever your cause is. I don't care. What kind of a grown man runs around on a football field holding a giant flaming phallic symbol? Nobody, can anybody answer that for me? Dennis Schrader says he has unfinished business with the Lakers. Dude, if that means you think you're going to get another $84 million contract from the front office, you're out of your mind. By the way, also for the Lakers, there is now a rumor that's circulating that Draymond Green wants to play with the Lakers. That led to the whole punch up in a Golden State practice. Yeah, I don't necessarily see it now. Draymond is probably looking towards next season when the Lakers have a significant amount of cap space, and they might be looking to add some thuggish interior presence then. And the Lakers, they like it when they have at least one thug. Kobe Bryant said he wanted a thug on his team. So they went out and they brought in Ron Artest and his loopy beliefs. Same thing could be here in play for Draymond Green next year. Now, by the way, the only reason I give this rumor any credence whatsoever is because it wasn't reported in I Love the Lakers and Everything They Stand For.com. It was printed in the San Francisco Chronicle. But understand, their source was Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith hasn't cracked a legit story since the Clinton administration. He's just a blowhard on ESPN. But you tell me what you think in the comments thread about what's going on out in LA. Was it in fact barely holding on for the Dodgers? What do you think about the Rams and the Chargers? And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We do talk LA sports here. I'm James. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Quian Corte El Queso production. Take care.